You know how to fix a crooked light, Nate? Walk up to it and go like this. And then take the little screws and make sure they're a little tighter, and it's good to go. But guess
Good.
what?
They shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah. Welcome to the Top Contractor Podcast, the show that highlights the remarkable individuals who are shaping the construction industry and pushing its boundaries with engaging interviews, expert discussions, and real-world stories of success. I'm your host, Bill Reiman, your broker builder. I'm here with my co-host,
Nate Swink. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Nate. Another episode. Great to have you. We're super early on your coast over there, polar opposite end of the country. How you hanging in there this morning?
Let's get it, man. I've been sleeping in too much lately, so let's get after it.
We're gonna get after it today. We're gonna feed you guys with some knowledge just based off of what we do. That's what we're here to do, is help you guys out the best we can. Before we do that, too, please take the time, like, share, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and obviously give us some reviews. We appreciate you guys that already have done the reviews on iTunes. Goes a long way. Nate, before we get started on this topic today, what's the show all about?
Right. So in the TCS podcast, we got 3 different styles of episodes. One is a deep dive into a specific topic. Second style is a interview with an expert guest. Third style is where we cruise the construction news and bring up topics that are relevant to you.
Which construction news will probably be the next one. We haven't done one of those in a little bit, so I'm sure there's some news out there in this crazy world.
For sure.
So we'll be getting into that. But today, we wanted to talk about not just sales. One of my favorite topics actually is sales, but we want to talk about our processes, how we kind of go about it. All right, the lead comes in. We've already given you strategies on how to get leads. We're not going to sound like a broken record and go through all that again. We wanted to kind of hit our process of, okay, the lead comes in. How do we go about it? How does Nate do it? How do I do it? Coming from different companies, different company backgrounds, and hoping this will help you guys. Maybe we give you a little nugget here and there that you guys aren't doing yourselves. So, Nate, what do you got as far as process with your company? I mean, obviously you guys are more B2B sales on that end. I'm more going to the customer. So let's talk about your company a little bit.
Yeah, before I kick into that, let me tell everybody a quick story. So, in the beginning of this year, like around December, January, we had like 0 backlog, super broke, couldn't even afford to take my wife to the TCS winter retreat in Florida, just like totally humiliated, broke, lost a lot of money in business. And in talking with Brian Hess, he's like, hey, sales fixes everything. Okay. Fast forward to, what is this, 10 months later, 11 months later, our backlog is almost $3 million. We're loaded with cash. So the point is, sales fixes everything. If you're in a rut with something, you need to produce and generate more sales, and it will pull you out of that rut. Okay. So hopefully that helps somebody and inspires somebody. If you're kind of in a jam right now, there's a way out, and it's through selling, not drugs, construction stuff.
Sales, not drugs, right? No, I mean, I agree with you, man. It's, if you're in a rut, it's because that's what brings in the revenue. That's what brings in the money, is sales. And it's your processes and having a good sales process too when those leads come in. Because if you get leads and you're just like, oh, okay, where do I go now? What do I do next? Well, those leads are eventually going to go away. So obviously one of the most important things is to follow up with that lead as it comes in, consistently follow up with it. So I'm going to kind of go on my background with it a little bit and what I do. Nate will kind of go on his. But when a lead comes in, first thing I do, because being a custom home builder, I kind of navigate the lead and just see if it's worth my time. Time's valuable. It's the most important thing we have. So I ask certain questions, and I ask it in a way to where it goes directed towards their time, because their time's just as valuable as mine. So if a lead comes in, they say, "Hey, Bill, we're wanting to build a house on Marco Island," and usually they don't tell me. It's not very descriptive, I've noticed, but it kind of starts there. So usually what I do is I say, "Great, I really appreciate you guys reaching out. Really appreciate you thinking of us." I always like to start out with this: what size home are you thinking about building, and do you have a budget? The reason I ask you this is because I don't want to waste your time. Your time's valuable if I'm not able to do it. So a lot of people like that out of respect. For them, it goes a long way for us too, because a lot of people want to meet with me in person right away, but if we can't do it, I'm not going to waste their time and mine meeting in person. So that's right away I get an answer. They say, we want to build a 4,000 square foot house for X amount. So if the amount's within that budget range, or if they say we don't really have a budget, or if they say we haven't really figured all that out, that's why we want to talk to you, then I'll continue to take the conversation. But if it's, I want to build a 4,000 square foot house for $1 million, that's not happening, especially in our area. So I usually am nice to them. If they say that, I say, "Well, I'm sorry. Once again, don't want to waste your time. We're not able to do that and accommodate your budget." That saves a lot of time on my end, a lot of time on their end. They can go to a different builder and hope, or maybe they don't end up building a house. I don't know. But from there, it's not really taking up a lot of my time just by emailing too. Or if they don't know, I'll just tell them, "Let's hop on a phone call." Much rather talk on the phone than through email. Get a lot more out of people, ask the right, correct, ask different questions and so on too. So kind of in that initial phase, Nate, what are you doing? I'm curious with you guys when those leads come in.
Yeah, it's definitely like question asking, like you said, right? You want to pull information out of them in a respectful way where you don't seem like you're prying, And then
Mm-hmm.
like the biggest rejection you get is like, "Oh, I don't want to give you my budget because there's a wall there still," right? So my goal when I'm talking to a new potential client is to break down that wall and be like, "Hey, by you sharing your budget, it's not me versus you, or like we both have the same common goal. I'm not going to rip you off just because you gave me your budget. That just gives me a better way of how can I serve you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe your budget is too high and it's like, hey, we could bring that down, or we could keep it and I can give you even a way better product than what you were expecting." So yeah, just kind of triggering those questions. The biggest thing that we're struggling with right now is I have two salespersons. We call them estimators, salespersons, because we're in, commercial and residential construction where it's, to some extent, the numbers matter, so they're more estimating out a job for like 4 or 5 days long, just doing takeoffs and figuring out the cost. And then it comes to, you know, when everybody's roughly the same cost, that's when relationships really matter. So that's like really trying to get my sales team to build those relationships and learn how to communicate better and learn how to trigger people's emotions and things like that. So that's our biggest struggle, because I like up until a year ago, no, 10 months ago, it was just me doing all the sales. So now I have
Mm-hmm.
two people helping, and I'm like, oh, so to be honest, we kind of lack structure. That's something that's funny that we decided to do this topic this week, because that's what I'm working on this week, is building out more structure and a system, because I'm not the only one doing it now. Like, it's all in my head, so I got to get it out of my head.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and my biggest thing with clients too is if I can get them on the phone, if they are a client that we can work with too, it's like you just said, you want to talk to them, ask the right questions. Okay, what are those questions? Well, that comes in conversation. You, as a salesperson, I mean, you should be able to just naturally talk to people. naturally have a conversation with them and then get things out of them too, so you can kind of further assess what the budget's going to be on a home. So I ask them, okay, what size home? That's a big one, 4,000 square feet. Okay, do you have a lot yet? Yes, I have a lot. Okay, where's the lot at? It's waterfront, blah blah blah. We're going to need pilings, we're going to need this. What type of design are you looking for? Okay, coastal, modern, coastal, modern, whatever, traditional, whatever. So we start kind of breaking down this list, and I'm writing things down because most people that are building a custom home have in their mind exactly what they're kind of wanting too. Some of them will be like, do you have existing floor plans? I always say, yes, I do, but we are a custom builder. So really every plan we build is different. We can customize from start to finish. Do you want to work, there's things, do you want to work with our designer? We partnered with a decorator. So you start really breaking down kind of the whole entire thing with them. And then eventually, hopefully, that leads to, let's have a meeting in person too and have more discussion and so on too. Because if you get them in person, um, that's when you really determine what everything's going to be price wise. But before even getting them in person, the reason I like to have that initial phone call is because you got to click with them. uh if I don't click with somebody, I don't want to work with them. And Call is blessed to be in that position right now. I mean, we do have a lot of work going on right now, but I mean, even if I had one job going, if somebody seemed like they were going to be super difficult with me, I won't take the job because
Mm.
with what we do, we're in a 2-year relationship usually with these people, 18 to 22 months just to build the house. And we have a 1-year warranty period with them too. And if you don't click, and if you're good with sales and, talking to people and you get it, you do this for a while, you start to realize who good people are to work with and who the tough people are. It just comes natural to you. Like I can figure it out off an email. I had a guy email me, sent me a budget. He said he's got a 5,200 square foot home. He's building $3 million budget. And he wants the top of the line, everything, wants a decorator involved, wanted all this stuff listed in the email. And I replied back to him. I said, based off your budget, doing all top of the line things per square foot, that's going to be very difficult to do. You're going to be at X amount. So his reply to me was, you seem to be more profit driven than he goes, I had a couple other builders already tell me the price was going to be higher. You seem to be, and that was okay with me. But he didn't say that in his initial email to me, that price. He said, I have to have a budget of $3 million. So he's already full of what. And
Yeah, he's
then in
already
the
fishing.
yeah. And so then in the email too, he's like, you seem to be more concerned about your overall profit than, which doesn't make sense because I'm telling him I can't do it. If I was concerned about profit, I'd string him along and then tell, up my profit later. I'm telling him, I don't want to do your job. I can't do it because I can't meet what you want. So I
Yep.
was just being honest with him. But I said, it seems to me you're more concerned about your overall budget and how much the house costs because you just said to me that these other two builders had a cheaper price. So it looks like you're looking for the cheaper price, is what I said to him, and he never responded. So, you know, so you get
And
people like that. Go ahead. Go ahead.
that's a good thing to hit on though, because
Yeah.
you don't want to just work for anybody, right? You want to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that they align with your ideal customer base. Otherwise, it turns into way more headaches than it's worth, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
think, oh, I really need the cash, or oh, I need, man, and honestly, you're not best suited to serve them. So don't serve them because you won't be able to serve them well to what they deserve, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people, I don't know if anyone can serve them well to what they deserve.
No, no. I've had some difficult clients, and we've learned our lessons through them. And I've even said too, I would never build a house for that person, even if it was a shack and they wanted $10 million. They would give me $10 million to do it just because how difficult they were and put our employees through hell. And that's the thing. I mean, it's not just you. you got to look at your employees who are dealing with these people too. So sometimes the sale's just not worth it because they're going to torture your selections girl or your warranty person or, or your superintendents are just going to go through hell with them because they're going to be on site all the time, nitpicking everything. And it's just, you have to be careful. That's why the initial process Nate and I are talking about, and just really vetting people, asking questions, figuring out, you'll know if you click with somebody. You should know. If you don't know if you click with somebody, I mean, it's, I don't know, probably shouldn't be in sales, but I mean, because when you're in sales too, you just know, you have that feeling that it's the right move or it's the wrong move. There's, go with your gut. That's what I'm
Yep.
getting at with the whole thing too. So after that, I mean, we kind of go into setting up the initial meeting with the people, and in those initial meetings, I really hit on certain things while they're in front of me. I show them our process. I show them all the software and everything we use. I show them how I bid out their job. We're a cost plus builder, but I still kind of give them a good estimated price of what the house is going to be. Totally high end too. We don't cut corners. Like, so if they select stuff that's going to be less, they save money. That's how I like to bid stuff out too. And I make an emphasis on that too. Like, I'm quoting you high right now because if you go lower on your appliances, like I give you $75,000 for appliances and you pick $60,000 worth of stuff, you're saving, you're going to save money. That's what's going to bring that price down too. But I go through literally the communication process and how much we emphasize communication, how we're job logging on every job weekly. We're doing the schedule and updating their schedule, and they can see all this on their phone at any time. We're doing pictures every single week of their job site and the progress. I'm going to do 360 camera pictures coming up here soon. I'm just waiting on the camera too. So there's all these things that we're putting in, so they're constantly up to date. Their finances, they can see that how much they paid in and been billed too is at the palm of their hand. So we are very transparent compared to a lot of other builders, which is a good sales pitch for us because they like that.
That's
But we're
always a
very,
good sales pitch. Yeah.
yeah, and we're very hands on, but I push the communication aspect more than anything, and I can tell if they're just very price driven right off the bat, if that doesn't matter to them. And then they always go to, well, what's the bottom line number going to be? How much is this all going to cost? Can I use my own cabinet company? I got a guy who's real good, but he's a lot cheaper up north that I could use, or I've heard that, or I can get real good deals on appliances. I got a buddy that works in the business, and so you start kind of listening to those things too. Usually that doesn't work with us and our brand of who we are because we handle everything. We're true turnkey too. So you kind of just figure these things out in those initial meetings too.
Dig
So
it. Yeah.
what about on your end, Nate, with so client comes in, you guys get them, or you don't get them yet. Like, what's that process with you too? I know you were talking about your sales guys a little bit, but let's go back to like you when you were
Yeah.
primarily doing
A lot of it, like we don't really meet with the client a ton. So we need to make sure that in minimal interactions, we make a good impression and that we, you know, can help them feel the value that we offer. Because honestly, for the most part of it, it's like you talk to them for 5 minutes, they email you a set of plans, you bid it out, and you send them the bid. So
it.
it's
Yeah.
like that's it. And then and and some of it's price driven just because of what we do, but also it's also value driven and like your reputation. It happens to us quite often where we get a call from a client and they're like, "Hey, I got your bid. You're 5% higher or you're 8% higher, but I want to go with you because you were highly referred. You know, what can you come down a little bit or whatever?" So it's like, the game like that, which is that kind of is what it is because we do more infrastructure, so it's hard to get people to see spending more money on. For you, it'd be like, say you have your piling guy and then you have another piling guy who's always 10 grand less. Sometimes it's hard to justify spending 10 grand more for pilings because you don't ever see them once they're in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
That's similar to structural steel, you know. But as we've built a good reputation, people
So,
tend to, you know, they'll spend more money with us just because they know, oh, this guy's, they get it done. You know, it's consistent and there's no issues. And the way they handle issues is they're very on top of it. So that's so our process is very limited on what we can do. And then on the other side where we service HOAs, a lot of that is just like problem driven. So it's like, hey, we have a problem. Can you get to it? And those we slam dunk because we offer such a faster service than anybody in that market on the steel side. So, you know, those are we kill it by over servicing the client, over communicating,
mm-hmm.
taking things off their plate, right? Because if it's a property manager, they're super busy. The easiest way to service property managers is like figure out however you can take time off their plate, give them their time back, right? Do a large project with minimal stress for them, and then like because they don't usually shop, they just like CBRE for example, it just depends on who's on their qualified list, which they struggle getting people on the qualified list because they make you have like 100 different information in there. So yeah, it's some of it's kind of limited, so we're still trying to dial that in. We'll send there's some little things we do in between to help build the relationship. We'll send selfie videos at strategic times during while we're building that relationship, and little things like that will hook and trigger that person to remember us more or go with us more. Another thing that we do is in our follow-up, you know, people can tell how you're going to hopefully how you're going to act through the job once you get the job based on how you're acting before you even have the job.
Mm.
So if you're following up, if you're being punctual, if your proposal is very detailed, and that's another thing we do, if it is just coming down to people looking at paper to some extent, we make sure that ours is way more detailed because that makes a point. Hey, they're 10 grand more, but look at all this detail they have. They must know something that this guy doesn't, or they're more detail oriented, which is less problems, you know? So that's
Yeah,
a couple of the things we do.
one thing that stuck out to me that you said is your value. You know, it's value driven. You're selling your value, and that's what we're doing as a company. We're selling our value. We're selling the reputation. We're selling, you know, that why the reasons we are better than the competition too. And it's like you said, you don't have to be the cheapest price because you've showed your value too. So especially in the commercial world and the B2B world. It's so competitive with pricing, and there is a lot of people looking for the cheapest price, but they also are looking for good quality work. They want it done right. They want it done right the first time. They want a subcontractor that's going to show up. I mean, that's the way we are. I look at it on my end, my perspective. With our subcontractors, they show up. If they don't show up, they don't call, they're a pain in the ass, they're gone. But the ones that have showed up or just, you know, do great work, always show up when there's a problem too, and come back and fix something that they messed up and take initiative and take blame for if they mess something up and don't make excuses. Those guys have been working with us for like 15 years now.
Yep.
And you know, I'm not really I'll shop other subcontractors here and there maybe just to check those guys, and they're usually pretty good with their pricing too because they're loyal to us too. They don't want to screw us. They don't need to up their price with us. As long as they're making money, they're happy because we're a good contractor to them too. We pay them right away. But that's what we look for too, coming from my perspective as the GC. You know, we don't want the headaches either. And the cheapest price, I mean, going with the cheapest guys, usually you run into the more headaches as well on that end. So me looking into Nate's perspective and what he just said, I'm like, whoa, yeah, that's exactly what we look for in subcontractors. Somebody that's going to show up, they're going to do good quality work, they're going to do it quick and be out of there and leave it clean, leave quality, and they're ready for the next job too. That's important too on the sales end as well. So if you're a subcontractor out there, what Nate said, take notes because that was big right there for sure.
Yep.
Um, The detailed proposal, like you said too, we're big on that, detailing out everything as much as possible, giving as much information as possible. That's how we do our stuff as well. uh, in meetings, I always detail all this out. We talk our process and exactly how we operate from start to finish. Over communicate, meet with clients every time they're in town. I have a meeting with clients tomorrow that just flew in to spend some time down here. And they're like, hey, we're in town. You guys mind meeting us at the site just to kind of catch up on things? And yeah, of course, we want to. We want you to see, the bones and everything going on. Because if we miss something, having those meetings is so important because, they can see reality too as well. So we talk about that with our process. We show our pricing, show, like Nate said, the detail and the proposals, talk about our scheduling and how we do that. That's very transparent, like I said earlier. And then eventually I take them to one of our houses after the meeting, and we'll go to a couple of our job sites. I like to go in different stages so they can kind of see the bones, the framing stages, and then take them to a finished product, and they could see the final quality stages too, which a lot of people like that. Uh, I just had a guy I met with. He's a builder out of New York. He's up in Manhattan, and big builder, big remodel guy. And he told me he almost gave up down in our area looking for builders, and he was going to GC his own house. And then he walked into one of our sites on that we're doing on this road called Polynesia, and he walked in there and he's like, I was so impressed with what I saw and how you guys do something. He goes, I've been in every builder's job sites on this island, and he's like, and I saw yours, and that's why I called you. He's like,
Yeah,
because
have
I
that
could
guy give a testimonial video.
yeah, yeah. And I met with him, and he's like, you guys definitely stand out. You run a clean site. He goes, everything is just notched up perfect in there too. And he's like, I can tell you guys, have a lot of passion in what you do. And I told him that's how my brother and I grew up. Grew up on sites. We had to clean them. We had to make sure things were perfect. We saw my dad. He was a perfectionist with things, and it kind of resonated. It resonated down to us. So that type of stuff, doing that on your sales end, that's going to generate you sales. That when people see the clean sites, the stuff like that, just how you overdo things, over deliver value to, that's going to kind of go down the line, and people are going to refer you, or they're going to be out and about, and they're going to see how your job sites are operated, and that's going to bring in more sales to you too. And people are curious of, I see this guy's sign all over the place. He must be doing something right, and we're by far not the cheapest builder. So it must be something other than price that's making this guy the top builder in the area for sure.
Yep, for sure. How do you go about, do you procure clients, or are they all kind of coming to you?
They come to us. Primarily, yeah, they're coming to us. I haven't really chased. I mean, doing social media and stuff like that helps. That's about all as much promotion that I'm doing nowadays. But primarily, it's people calling, inquiring to us. I mean, I've updated our website probably 4 times within the last, I don't know, 8 years. Like, just keeping that up to date and clean, easy for them to read, giving more information on that. Also, I've talked about this before, like realtors. I've built really good relationships with a lot of local realtors, especially the heavy hitters. I don't step on their toes. I have a broker's license. I don't step on their toes. I keep, real estate and construction's just, my primary focus is always construction. If I get listings, stuff like that, it's because those people came to me. I didn't try and snake them from a fellow realtor. So working with those realtors though, and building those good relationships, we get a lot of referrals. I met with a realtor and 2 clients yesterday that are going to be building a house. Their son's a professional hockey player, and they want to build a big house. Or they're going to be managing the build because obviously their son's a little bit busy. But that realtor has brought us like 4 other clients in the past, and we built his personal house as well. So it's just building. I'm big on relationships. Like, that's the thing. Like, in any business, you build those good relationships, stay top of mind. It's people are gonna You're gonna get work. Play the long term as much as possible. Just do good. Don't cut corners. I mean, own up to stuff too. We're big on owning up to any issues or mistakes that we have. I mean, we get some nitpicky stuff with warranty, that we can tell somebody, to F off. Basically, it's like, come on. I had a warranty request for a crooked light in a master bath. You know how to fix a crooked light, Nate? Walk up to it and go like this. And then take the little screws and make sure they're a little tighter, and it's good to go. But guess
Good.
what?
They shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah, exactly. They don't. So we went in and we don't complain. We just get it done. We have, our workers, we send them over there. They went in there, took them 2 seconds of his time to go and do it and fix it. But, that's part of who we are too, is just doing the stuff, not complaining about it, just taking care of it for the clients too. So that's why
Yep.
we get a lot of referral as well.
Yeah, one way we go about procuring new clients, I try to be very intentional about this. And again, if I'm going to a construction site or any of my people are going to a construction site and we see other sites, similar to what Bill said, like how he keeps a clean site, we're looking for, because there are so many GCs out there, man. And I'd say 95% of them are hacks, don't know what they're doing, just horrible. I mean, you don't want to work for those. You want to work for the top 5%. So finding those guys, cold calling people, figuring out how they act on the phone, and then once you get a good one, then just keep following up with them. Send them lunch, send them, a selfie video, whatever, stay top of mind until you get some opportunities. And then when you get the opportunity, make sure you service them better than anybody else in the business. And then it takes a few months or a year to build trust, and then boom, they're yours. They're never going anywhere else. So that's kind of how we've done it with a few clients, and that's how we're building it out right now, because we don't get in referrals quick enough to keep up with how much we want to grow. So like we have to get out there and, cold call or whatever, like targeting cold calling though. We're not just running through a phone book.
Now, what you just said was huge, because I tell our subcontractors that all the time. There's a million new builders that come into town, and then like my concrete guys, my brother and I had a conversation with them a few months back, because we're their primary GC. We give them a ton of work, and then I see them doing owner builders work, and they were delaying us, and a lot of our jobs were getting delayed. And then I'd see them at like, the owner builders are these new builders that would pop up. And so that's why we had to have the conversation, because exactly what you said, you find the top GCs, you want to service those top GCs. Those are your bread and butter. They're always going to be your bread and butter. They're not going to go anywhere until they retire or sell the company or whatever. These new guys that come in, most of the time, they don't last. Times are good, they all come and go. A lot of them come in, they give houses away for cheap to get going, and then they keep burning a hole in their pocket until the things start folding down and they're robbing Peter to pay Paul, and eventually they run out and they got nobody else to rob, and then they fade away. So I always tell, if you're a subcontractor out there listening to this, what Nate said, target the primary builders, overserve the primary builders. Though always when they need you there, you should be there. The other guys, the secondary guys, put them on the back burner. If you got time to do those jobs, go ahead and do it. Make a little extra money. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're taking on those jobs and then pushing your primaries to the corner and making them wait, that's going to be a problem, because eventually you're going to lose your primary builder. And when you lose that primary builder, eventually those other guys are going to go away and you're going to be left with nothing. So
yeah,
Nate's advice, spot on.
You want to be super, super intentional when you're doing sales on what you're pursuing, because you can spend more time pursuing a smaller job, but for a better client. And that relationship will make you more money over X amount of years than trying to go after a bigger job for a crappy client. So just be super intentional with how you're doing that and who you're going after, who you're targeting, and make sure that they align culturally with you. I can always tell when I'm talking to somebody if we're gonna vibe or if they're gonna vibe with the
Mm-hmm.
culture and everything.
See, I told
And
you,
if
man, sales. So you just said it. You know when you talk to people.
yep,
That's because you're good at sales.
I'm okay. I wouldn't say I'm good at it.
Hey, you're doing pretty good though. But going back to kind of what you said there too. Yeah, I forgot what I was just gonna say. It was good. Oh, also, if some of the questions you guys are probably asking out there, and I've been asked this in the past too on my past podcasts, is okay, how do I get in with good GCs? Well, do what Nate just said. Nate cold calls them. Show up. I mean, if you're going to show up to their office, which usually you got a gatekeeper kind of in the way that's not going to let you just plow back to the owner of the company, drop off something, give them something that's going to they're going to remember. I always tell this story. There's a roofer that came by, and we have a primary roofer. The guy's been loyal forever until he goes away and says and screws us over somehow or whatever, retires. We're using this guy. He's been great to us. He takes care of us. But these other roofers, if this my guy goes away, I'm calling them because they came in our office, dropped off some brochures, stuff like that. Really good guys. Clicked with the lady up front, super nice. Dropped off hot sauce, like some hot sauces and a bunch of other stuff. That freaking hot sauce was the best hot sauce I've ever had. I don't know what it was or where they got it from, but I always remember that builder, Nastar Roofing. Shout out to them if they listen to this, but I always remember them because of that stuff right there, those little things. So if my roofer ever screws me, I'm going to call them. And I actually did bid them on a job after they did that. I gave them an opportunity, and they came in right around the same price as my current guy too. So we obviously stuck with our current guy, but it did a lot. See right there, I just we ended up bidding them too off of that. So
And
doing
it's
those,
frequency of contact too.
yeah.
How many times has that guy followed up with you? Probably not very many, right?
The Nastar one? Yeah,
Yeah.
not many since the hot sauce drop. No.
Yeah. So
If he
if
would have
he if
followed up,
he
yeah.
if he followed up monthly, your other guy, no matter how good he's servicing you, it would take one time. He
Yeah.
would just have to call at the right time after you just got done yelling at that other roofer while your emotions are
That's
high,
true.
and you'd be
Yeah.
like, boom.
Yeah. I'm gonna
So
try
that's
this.
why frequency of calling is good. It feels, I hate doing it. I absolutely hate calling because I feel like I'm bothering somebody.
Yeah.
I feel awkward. But when I get feedback from people, they say, dude, that's the biggest thing. You followed up a lot. You were very punctual. You're just like coming from a place, hey, how can I help? How can I help? And a lot of times when you follow up with them, they forget about things because they're so busy or unorganized or whatever. Where when you follow up, you're actually helping them. You're doing them a favor by following up.
Yeah.
So
No, that's spot on. If there's been a few of those moments where my current roofer, I was aggravated about something. And if that guy would have called at that time, I'm like, yeah, I'll give you a shot on this house. Let's put you on one other
exactly.
house.
Yep. Yep.
And it only
Yeah.
takes one shot. I mean, it's happened with our pool company too, and it's happened with different others. I happened with our AV company. I got a new AV company I'm trying on one job now, and they did this great presentation, bought our team lunch, showed us how they kind of help with the more high end from start to finish, and we were very impressed with them compared to the current AV company we're using. So I just gave them a shot on a house too. So there's always a way in. It's just how you guys present yourself, and consistency, like Nate said, is huge on the follow up. You may seem annoying, but eventually you're going to break through. Because there's going to be that moment because you're constantly. It's like, oh, that I feel like I'm that annoying guy, but there's going to be a time where it's like, you know what, that guy is very persistent. Uh, Not annoyingly persistent, but he's also given a lot of value to, and so on. I'm going to give him a shot on this job. Let's bid him. So eventually that happens too. So you're spot on,
Try to be.
Nate. I think you got anything else on this, man? Because we're going on like 40 minutes. Wrap this up.
That's it, man. I think that's really it. That was a couple little good tactical things for people to get in with builders. Um, Yeah, mostly builder driven. There wasn't too many things geared towards homeowners, but it's really all the same stuff. Just how you target's a little different.
Yeah, I mean, with homeowners on that end too, I mean, social media, we've talked about it in past episodes. And like I said, I don't want to be a broken record on this. Just go after social media as hard as possible. Show what you guys are doing, show why you're doing it better. People are all over social media these days. You say, oh, well, kids are only on Instagram and TikTok. Then use Facebook, LinkedIn. YouTube's huge too for I got a ton of customers that are on YouTube that watch my YouTube content and are asking me, "Hey, when are you going to post a video about my house? When are you going to post a video and update my house?" So people are watching. Get on social media. That's going to drive leads. People are going to see what you do. Just you got to get on camera. Nate and I've said that on probably 10 of the 12 episodes that we've done. And then, you got Google ads, you got all these different things, Google reviews. We've talked about that. So we've talked about in the past how to drive the leads. This is more how to kind of the process and getting in and interviewing clients and dealing with that too. So if you guys need more information, just reach out to Nate and I. We're happy to help you. I'm happy to help on the builder end. Nate's happy to help on the subcontractor end of things too. And yeah, that's pretty much a wrap for this one. So appreciate you all. Thanks for
Sweet.
listening. And
Like, comment, subscribe,
and
DM,
5-star reviews.
get in the DMs, ask Bill a bunch of questions, send him a lot of hot sauce.
If you got
Send
good
him a
hot
lot
sauce,
of baby diapers. He needs
Yeah,
baby diapers. He's gonna go broke with all those baby
that's
diapers
true.
he's got
Yeah,
to buy.
yeah. You don't realize until you have a baby how many diapers you really truly do use. Yeah, it's insane. So just brace yourself, Nate.
That's it, man.
And
All
my
right,
wife
guys.
uses the fancy ones too. So
Ooh, the Italian diapers.
yeah, yeah. No, it's like some honest brand or something. I don't know the difference. Huggy's a Huggy and whatever is a whatever. So to me, but she's whatever
There
floats
you
her
go.
boat. So
Awesome, man.
all right, man. Thanks everybody.